right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show where we bring you inspiring stories of visionaries who are breaking barriers and living their dreams. Today, we have on an extraordinary guest whose latest project, Mombomb, Part 1, is a modern-day AI fairy tale that has been named an official selection at Slamdance Film Festival in the shorts episode category. Slamdance is huge. What an amazing accomplishment. Now, creating AI groundbreaking pipelines, Mombomb is a feminist comedy horror series inspired by Patricia's own experiences growing up in Toledo, Ohio. I'm very excited to have her on, and she is no stranger to success outside of Slamdance, and her career included executive leadership roles during DreamWorks, Walt Disney Animation Studios, as well as creative roles for Warner's. Patricia Beckmann Wells, what can't you do? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Oh, really? Your body of work, your accomplishments. I mean, just outside of the project we're talking about, you have such an esteemed career. Really, congratulations.
No, thank you. I got lucky enough to have some really great opportunities, and I'm very appreciative of all of it.
I love how you said it like that, and I love how humble you are for such a amazing career. And talking about those opportunities, you have a very unique journey in this path, in this world of creativity. I love to hear kind of what got you started when you were younger. What kind of inspired you to start going down this path of life to say, I want to become a creator?
That's a great question. Gosh. Well, I was born into a family of artists, and um, they gave me art supplies instead of toys,
Sure.
you know? So I did a lot of clay, and then I discovered that flip books. And I just loved doing those, and I wanted all my life to be an artist. They didn't want me to be an artist because they knew the artist's life, so I had to fight for it,
Yeah.
and that makes it even more interesting.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And for our young aspiring artists out there, because again, so many of us that go down the path of the arts, and it may come from a place of love, right? For people say, the artist lifestyle is a difficult lifestyle. It's not a very easy path. And a lot of parents are not trying to be discouraging, but they may be trying to protect their
Yeah.
children from going down that path. For those that aren't getting all the inspiration to have to kind of dig deep and still stay on that path, what advice would you give them to kind of say, you know what, keep going forward and keep following, your bliss and your passion in life?
When you look at amount of ants, each ant on that hill has a job. They're pre-programmed to do it. You can't escape what you're programmed to do, but you do need to get inventive as to how you're gonna sustain your life. I advise you to go after what you really love to do, but also keep an eye on, like, Dustin Hoffman has this great story that he had these jars on top of his refrigerator. In one jar, he put his rent money, and the other jar, he put his food money, and the third jar, his utilities money. After that, he could spend everything, and then he could take time off. So, take care of your jars.
No, boy, I love that. So well said. Great advice. Anybody can see it. I love the visuals of that. And it's so true as an artist, right? Because it's going to be great days. It's going to be bad days and be up and
Yeah.
down days. It's a grind. It's a very unique lifestyle. Talking about, taking that and going and following your passions, you had such a unique career and it had such a unique path. I'd love to hear kind of, you said you had your art kits as a kid. You started getting into an artist, but what started now persuading you into getting into the actual industry?
Okay. Well, for college, my parents wouldn't let me study art, so I studied business and eventually transferred into communications. Communications was at least closer to what I wanted to do, and then I became a journalist, and I was a journalist, at the White House and at, NBC and different places, and I still just wanted to be an animator, a filmmaker. So that was the closest I could do that was blessed by the parents. I then went, did the business school, but while I was in business school, I would sell posters and I would sell videos and, I would sell stuff. And then I decided, I can't do this anymore. And I applied for film school. I got in. I got into USC and Cal Arts and a couple places, and I chose USC. And it was always something I wanted to do. I mean, you know that. You get this idea of what you wanna be in your life. You got your dreams, and when you're not going that route, you're just not committed. So, I committed to that, and while I was in school, I finished my films, which you need to do if you're a student. That's the
Oh yeah.
first thing, right? That's the first thing is just get the film done because your first couple films are gonna be terrible, and you just gotta get them done.
Yes.
And the other kids I went to school with weren't getting their films done. So that helped me because I had films done to get work after
Sure.
school. And then because I was confident after having gotten a few done, and you need that confidence to get a few done,
Oh yeah.
I started making more films, and that got me. I won the Playboy Animation Festival. I had 2 or 3 films in that, and that got me work to do episodic work for Oxygen Media at the time, and then another group of kids who were doing something. I can't remember even what it's called, but they were doing a lot of episodic content back then, and that got me rolling.
Sure. Sure.
And just from there on in, I just took whatever job I could in the industry to learn more.
I'm so glad you gave that detail because you're absolutely right. I think so many young artists kind of get in the way, and it's like, what do they say? Perfection's the enemy of progress. Like
Yes.
they'll try to make that first film perfect, and it
Yeah.
never can be. No matter how much like you envision it in your head, you will never. Even now, like no matter how experienced you are, what you actually envision in your head will most likely never get there like
Yeah.
perfectly. People hold themselves back in their lives and careers because they're trying to achieve this vision of perfection that no one else is going to see. And like you said, especially as a student, when you're starting out, if you don't have a body of work to showcase and get hired, how is anybody going to know what you can do?
And how are they going to trust you that you'll get it done?
That's you're absolutely most people cannot, and in the arts, most people don't finish the projects they actually start, right? It's such a shame some of these ideas go to the wayside and people cannot just have the follow through to finish. And you're right, it's hard to trust somebody to get that work done.
We're our own worst critics, aren't we?
Oh,
Our editors.
no, absolutely right. I mean, you sit there and you look at something, and the way creatives nitpick their own work, it's almost no one
Yeah.
like that, but the creative who made it, right? Every little nuance, every little thing. But again, I guess that's what makes a creator in the same sense that way.
Yeah. You have to have faith that it's going to be okay.
No, no, no. And then now, you stay in this world. You're amazing. You're in the animation world. You work for so many big companies and you're around so many amazing individuals. I'm sure that was an amazing part of your journey. But now, today is 2025. But as the future was getting there, as you were working in this animation world, a lot of technology started taking place, a lot of changes, a lot of shifts, and you started becoming kind of an early adapter of this new technology. I'd love to kind of hear your transition from working in that traditional space and now kind of coming over into this more AI style technology of animation. It's fascinating that you got into that world.
I love all forms of animation,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
technology just helps you get there a little bit faster. I
Mhm.
started out loving stop motion animation, but it's so expensive. You
Yeah.
have to buy the clay, you gotta color the clay, you gotta get a unique look, you gotta have a big stage and keep it there and keep the dust off it. You gotta buy the lights, you gotta get perfect lighting each time. Really nice camera. It's probably the most expensive animation, but I loved it. And then 2D animation is so magical what
Mm.
you can create. Transition of 3 drawings, what you can persistence of vision um show people. So but, I'm not the best at drawing, I draw and I
Sure.
draw, and the more I draw, the better I get, but there are so many people who are better. So I had to find a way to fit in, and I'm persistent. I will bang my head against the wall until I figure it out, and that's what you have to have for the technology.
Yeah.
Just today, I was working with some students to get Live Link working with Unreal so that you could put facial
Oh
motion
yeah,
cap
yeah, yeah, yeah.
on a metahuman, and it took us about a half an hour to get it to get past the security network at school, but we did
Sure.
find a way. Um, and then, I came to the realization that I had very big ideas, and my first festival film, Family Tale, took me 18 months to do, and it was hand drawn and was only meant to be a storyboard for the eventual stop motion I wanted to do.
Sure.
So it would have taken me 5 years to make that film.
Oh yeah.
And it got released online because it's about losing your family and such, it got a following pretty quick. So I had to throw it into festivals or else I would have lost it.
Sure.
But so I realized, I'm more of a storyteller than I am someone who draws.
Sure. Sure.
And I want to get the story out as quickly as possible because I have thousands of stories that I'd like to share. So I grew to be an early adopter of many technologies to see what could be the fastest medium to work in. And I did 3D animation, and that is just as slow as working with 2D animation or stop motion.
Yeah.
Bec
That's.
Right? You have to light, you have to do the surfaces, 1,000 things go wrong.
Mhm.
It's almost faster to do just plain old 2D animation,
Oh yeah. No. 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 You're
right?
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So, I kept trying to evolve and I made some festival shorts using 3D animation. Then I went back to 2D and used TV Paint, which was a faster production technology for 2D, whereas my prior short had been drawn on paper. And then, I was experimenting with 3D again, and then I was one of the first people to see Stable Diffusion and what it was doing, and I started playing with that and playing with that and playing with that. And as a storyteller, it is so exciting to create media quickly that helps you augment what you want to say. So I think I kind of got got away from your original question and forgot it. But
No, 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 no. Well, why you were an early adapter? That's the perfect
yeah,
answer to that. Absolutely right.
okay.
Yes, no, that was as well said as you could. Being a storyteller and being able to have it at your fingertips like that, and being able to create story, that was so perfectly well said. Because I understand that as a storyteller, and you have to go through all these nuances of using the older technology, and it's expensive, it's cumbersome, it takes a lot of time. If you can be a storyteller and create like that, like when people used to be around the fire telling a story, but
Right.
use that with technology, now you're in a position to really tell some amazing, amazing stories. And I
And
understand
quickly.
completely. Absolutely right. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And before now, it was just impossible. I mean, you could do puppets,
Yes.
but you have some limitations with that. With all art, it's lovely. It has a gorgeous look and feeling, and when you actually make it physically, and I love to do that. If I had more time, I would be doing more of that.
Yes.
But I'm also loving what I can do when I make the original base art and then use an AI assisted pipeline to get it out the door faster.
That's so well said. So well said that you're using it as a pipeline. You're so creating. That's what I love that you just said it that way, because people have to understand how AI is now being adapted into the art. You're still visually creating your art. It's still your mind, but you're
Yeah.
using a pipeline to expedite it. That'd be like telling somebody to go assemble their car by hand. Right? I mean, like you use
Yeah.
no one, no
You're
one
right.
bats, no one bats an eye at that, right? There's like assembly lines and machines that do this work for us. We now have a tool that expedites the process from your mind being creative to getting it out. I think it's brilliant as you put that. That's very well put.
You still need to know the lens you're using, the
100%.
light, the lights, the light temperature. Uh, you need to cite styles, which shot you're going to use. I mean, it's still very much an artist medium.
100%. So again, everybody knows that we're now talking about integrating artificial intelligence into art forms. But as and you can get more into that, and we'll get more into it in a second. But again, like you're
Yeah.
speaking to the AI. That's what people don't understand. So like you said, you have to still talk about shots, how the lighting should look, the composition of the framing, camera movements. So again, as a creator, if you're directing and you're directing your team to make something for you, you're still doing the same basic commands and explanations to create your art. Now you're just using an artificial form to create it for you instead of having 50 people. And look, if you don't have the infrastructure, a lot of people may say, is AI taking jobs away? But not everybody is Disney or Paramount with the budget where you'd even be hiring these people in the first place. So if you're coming up with these pieces, you may not be hiring, 50 animators to get out there and do it. So you're not taking any work away. You're actually creating the opportunity for this idea to become a property that may create work.
Right. And those big companies, they are creating the AI assisted pipelines themselves too.
Exactly right. It's the future of what's going on, and I think as any new tech. I mean, look, people didn't like the internet in the early '90s and the late '80s, right? No one likes any kind of new technology. So I think it's just so brand new. And again, we've kind of been programmed through movies like Terminator and AI that like AI is inherently an evil being, right? Like for some
Yeah.
reason, it's the way that as perceived Blade Runner. There's so much that we grew up watching that you're just told like, all right, if you use artificial intelligence, the world's just gonna like go haywire, and 5 years later we're all gone. But that's kind of like
There's some bad press. Yeah.
no, it's incredibly bad press. I mean, it's there's just really, really ever like the positives behind it. But when you started getting in, you said like to speed up the process. How did you find creating these pipelines? I'd love to hear a little bit more about yours if you want to share it. You don't have to obviously share your entire pipeline if you don't want to, but I'd love to hear about your creative process, how you're integrating AI now into your work.
Absolutely. There are dozens and dozens of AI software solutions. No one does everything you need to make a film.
Mhm.
And you are you have more opportunity at hand the more you know about Unreal, which is not
Okay.
an AI software, it's a game engine,
Yeah. Yep.
or you know about 2D animation, or you know about 3D printing and then making a LoRa, LORA, which is an assemblage of like 20 images that inform your AI from your own original artwork. So my pipeline is everything I can get my hands on.
Okay.
The process right now is pretty much the same for everyone, where first you get your story, however way you're going to acquire it. Then you lay out single images for each shot. Then you do your voiceover, a little bit of sound, and you
Mhm.
get your moving animatic. That's where you make the major art decisions. You get the consistency of character, and you get a sense for if the story is making sense.
Sure.
You keep your costs down considerably if you get your storyboard and animatic into a good shape before anything else. And there you can do a lot of editing, cuts, and get rid of entire areas, add things that are missing, show it to people and get, feedback. Then the more you know about what each AI program does and game engine and animation program, the more you're going to have interesting shots,
Sure. Oh yeah.
right? Because you will upload one image to one software program and get one style of AI. And I don't mean to say art style of AI, but one animated motion. And each AI kind of treats creating media differently. And you get to know their signatures the more you work with them. Like Luma AI is a very beautiful fluid.
Yes. Yep.
It's right. And it's great with water. But you might want to try Runway to do some facial capture along with an image and
Sure.
have it talking. Now you might want consistency of character, so you'll use Unreal Engine to do all the staging, make all the backgrounds, right? Then you'll render out one image and bring that into maybe Comfy UI
Mhm.
and do some lip sync talking or acting there. And you can add motion capture to it in Comfy UI. So you could also then just go to Wonder Dynamics, which was recently acquired by Autodesk, and upload a video of somebody walking. Then in Wonder Dynamics will give you a backplate mat and the move data,
Mhm.
and then you can extract whatever you want for your film production. Maybe you take that moving data and you put it on Reel. I did that for one shot.
Sure.
Maybe you'll take that moving data and put it in Comfy UI and manipulate a character that you have. And it will recreate the look of the 3D scene that you're going after because you have the image. So most everyone does the storyboard animatic, getting the
Okay.
images in place, getting the basic sound in place, getting the structure of it in place. After that is anything goes because you have access to just about every ingredient if you use Comfy UI.
Sure.
you have access to a very comfortable and easy process if you use one of the paid things like Runway or Wonder Dynamics. And then you also have really lovely tools for changing your voice using 11 Labs
Oh yeah.
or Music Feed or any of those many, many, many software that you have available. So that's where true artistry comes in because you have many flavors of chocolate, vanilla,
Mhm.
strawberry, and how do they all work together? And maybe Luma didn't pull off the water scene. Maybe it was pulled off better in Pika, you know,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then at the end, you have the option to run it through additional softwares to change lighting or
Hmm.
to color correct it um, and to help you merge the sound. So you still need to know what a Fresnel light does versus a
Hmm.
spotlight, right? And what the golden hour is. You still need to be a trained filmmaker in every sense of the word before you take on this tool. And even more so, you have to be a trained technologist because there are many, many hurdles you have to jump over. Jumping into this, you can get, 60% there without any of the background. But to really make it stand out, people need to understand the skeleton of the art.
That was so well explained.
You
Really, what you explained from start to finish, because I think it's brilliant how you explained the pipeline. And I was going to say, and did not want to interrupt because it was so eloquently put and it was so well put that look at everything in the understanding of the craft that needs to be done. That can't, like you said, maybe get 60% of the way there. You need to be an artist. You need to understand the craft, the technology. There's a lot that goes into creating art through artificial intelligence. Now, you're not just taking up mid-journey and making a picture, right? That's what people think AI art is, right? Like you just do this and a photo appears. To
That's
make
the parlor trick.
That's
Yeah.
parlor trick, exactly right. If you want to create an actual cinematic experience, real art where people are actually emotionally attached characters and a story journey, you still have to be an artist, a creative, and now on top of it, understand the technology. So well put.
And you have to have a consistent background,
100%.
different shots.
Yeah.
You can't do that just with, typing in text. You really have to manipulate things. Sometimes use
Mhm.
Photoshop, sometimes use photography. And then taking it a step further, you benefit by learning what AI is and understanding what data sets contribute to the art. Because nobody wants really, if you're not, if you're making something, you don't want it to look like Pixar. Everybody, has seen that.
It's already done, yes.
It's done. Okay, so you're not out there to steal someone else's look because you won't really get much of an audience. But if you start getting innovative and think, I would like a stop motion look. How can I achieve that? Some brilliant artists are doing it by drawing in 2D in Korea and using some filters and materials from Blender
Mhm.
and somehow putting them together and making stop motion films that look 3D.
That's fantastic.
Or you go another step further and you create what I mentioned earlier, which is a LoRa, which is a subset of images based on your own art. Then you're starting to own the process.
Exactly right. Yep. That's the key. How do you feel, and again, as a creator in this AI space, there's so much controversy going on right now with Congress and the ownership rights. But like you're saying, there has to be a process where people see that the creators that are in this space are artists. The work they're creating is their work. There's so much going on. There needs to be more spokespeople like yourself out there to start giving the rights to the creators that are using these tools in the right way.
There are so many administrators who don't understand what AI is, and
Exactly right.
they just Google documents. I've witnessed this a few times in the last months. They Google something that represents their bias,
Yeah.
and that's how they lead. They don't understand the difference between an AI assisted pipeline and AI parlor trick type stuff.
Yes.
So unfortunately, those people get involved with making the rules in something they don't know anything about.
Indeed.
And it would be helpful if someone sat down and watch the process, because you can own everything. And companies are working very hard to become ethical.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you go on LinkedIn right now, there are jobs for people who will create video of everyday things,
Mhm.
like a bench or a can or something like that. And then they lease it to this company, and then all of that media is then utilized for creating AI. So it's
Yeah.
all ethically sourced. Those people are being paid for making that base media. Then there are, I think NVIDIA was making a card
Mhm.
that could be drawn out of an image that isolated each image that was used to create that image, so
Oh
that,
wow, yeah.
yeah, it could cite the source of everything. So once there's a paywall in place, all of those artists would be paid, which is fair.
Yes, of course, absolutely.
And that brings forward some lovely opportunities for people to be employed to make art that can be drawn from for AI,
Mhm.
if they want to do that. It depends on what people's motivations are or whatever. But um, and then also there are other companies that you know of, like Adobe is using stock footage that's all
Oh
out
yeah,
of
yep, yep.
order. It got some bad press in the beginning, and that bad press is leading people to have a bias, and they're making certain decisions on it, and we've already passed that marker. So yeah, I'm troubled by that.
No, no. So am I because and again, like you said, even a lot of the the workers unions, the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild, it's giving artificial intelligent pipelines, well put that way, the a very bad name. Where again, if you use it as a parlor trick to just put it out there, then anything could be used useless, right? I mean, look at stock footage. You mentioned that people can create a whole portfolio with stock footage. How is that really any different, right? They're not doing anything to using somebody else's work. We're actually using AI as a pipeline to enhance the work that's being done. I think more people have to get out there. I'm so glad that people like yourselves are getting out there and your films are getting credibility to go to places like Slamdance, which is a very huge accomplishment. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Oh, they are so kind to give that opportunity, and they are remarkable at Slamdance. It's possibly one of the best film festivals for independent filmmakers.
Yes, I agree. I think Slam Bass is like really has stepped up. It's huge. It has great prestige. It's really out there, and I love that. I mean, really, you getting in there and doing this is a massive win, not just for yourself, but for the entire community of people that are using these AI pipelines. It's a huge win for all of us. It's really fascinating. It's really congratulations on doing that.
Thank you. No, I'm proud to represent people who are trying to get into this field and promote it. There are so many channels that need to be filled with content,
Mm.
and this is just another opportunity to create content. 2D is not going away, 3D is not going away, traditional filmmaking is not going away. There's just another opportunity for people to create something.
You are absolutely right. And well, Patricia, we understand that you are obviously a phenomenal person, a very intelligent person. I can't wait now to learn more about Mombomb. And we're talking about Slam Dance, and we still have to talk about your creation that's out there. It's amazing. I can't wait for everybody to learn more about this because it is not only a huge accomplishment, but you're doing so much for the community as a whole by creating this and getting into a place like Slam Dance.
Oh, thank you. Do you want to know about Mom Bomb's story?
I love the audience to know. I actually had a chance
Okay.
to look at the screener. I really truly enjoyed it. So
Oh,
that
thank
was
you.
fantastic. Absolutely. I'd love for the audience to learn more about what you can create. If you'd like to share that now,
I would love
up to you.
to.
Yes, absolutely.
I may bring down the energy though.
No, no, that's okay. This is part of the story. It's
A
okay.
very dark story. Well, Mom Bomb is something that's been sitting on my subconscious my whole life, because when I was around 9 or 10 years old, I had a horrific experience happen to me, and because no one believed me, over a dozen people died. I was, well, I was followed by a serial killer when I was young, when I was coming home from ice skating. It was dark, it was, nighttime. I had my skates with me, and I first thought I would visit my aunt. My aunt didn't live in a very great neighborhood. She had an apartment. I walked up there, she wasn't home, so I walked home, and I was walking through this neighborhood, and a car was circling me as I came home. Fortunately, I was only a quarter mile away. I kept going, crossed a major street. He went in front of me. He got me all wet, splashed me. Then I made it to the next block and he stopped and he screamed at me, told me to get in his car. He flashed a knife at me. He started coming after me and I was frozen until I started running and screaming and knocking every doorbell. Nobody answered their doors. Um, I thought he would come get me and he was standing there and he was looking for his opportunity. And he was coming towards me and about to get me. And then one light went on. He ran back to his car and he was gone. He continued for a couple of weeks to try to follow me as I went to school. And each time I dodged him, I told my mother and she didn't believe me and she was embarrassed. And there's a reason for that because when she was that age, she too was followed by serial killers, but a different kind because it was World War II, mostly Russian soldiers, and they had killed off several of her brothers and sisters. So she thought I was being influenced by her stories of childhood. And she stopped telling me about her experiences in the war, and she kind of shut that down and then treated me as if I was just kind of someone that was just digesting things and acting out, which was unfortunate because he practiced on me. He found out what didn't work and he got more bold and eventually did kill more people with his brother. They were a team. I was followed by the lesser brother. The more bold killer was not stalking me. And they captured a sweet young girl, Dawn Backus, about 6 years later. And by that time, I think it was in high school, when she was going to the 7-Eleven, which I had walked by on my way home. And the story about her, I just won't share. But they murdered her in the most horrible way. And March 1st, he's up for parole.
Oh,
March 1st in just a couple of weeks. How can that be? And several people, now, interestingly enough, I never learned about any of that because the internet was not available then.
sure.
I'm from another time. In a way, I'm a lot older than a lot of people here. And how we did hear about it were by campfire stories.
So yeah,
And you go camping and you'd hear about, oh, the guy drove away because he heard a sound and then they found a hook on the door, or they found blood
yeah.
or something, or they were stuffed in the trunk. Well, some of these stories were very detailed and they were the actual stories of what happened from these two gentlemen. So that's how we told these stories. And my mother taught me how to get away from bad people by telling me stories from the Brothers Grimm. So this kind of all merged together and built on top of itself. And I wasn't until I was in almost late 20s, early 30s until I learned about these two gentlemen. And then I saw the picture and I was in shock for several days because I recognized him. That face was burned into my mind. That was the face I was running from for several months. To find that all, it just wrapped up, and then I had tremendous guilt, and I lived for decades with tremendous guilt because I could have stopped it. And I still feel so much for Dawn, knowing that that could have been my fate. Um, her her mother never saw her again, and I lived. And then I have to evaluate, well, what was my mother's childhood like? Her escape, and it's all kind of a plate of noodles that I'm pulling out with the goal of teaching people how to handle intergenerational trauma and move forward.
That's such a responsibility, one, to everyone out there and also to yourself, to be willing to kind of go back and dive into these deep stories. That must be, again, as a creator, you want to get out there and utilize your past. But I'm sure even though you're having a lot of positive reception to the piece, is still, like you said, has to bring up a lot of past guilt and a lot of emotions that are going on within your life and rethinking your mother's life. It's a very heavy burden you must carry throughout this film.
You know, by facing it, dissecting it, and thinking about it actually lightens the burden.
That's
And
good.
that's the gift given to artists is that they can think about something and work it out. Nobody's going to listen to you really until you form it into a story that enlightens others. And then suddenly, like Family Tale did, you can gather so many people and make change.
No, that's the truth about how art works, and now you have the opportunity to utilize your past, create a story like this, and make the change. I hope you're gonna open a lot of eyes with a piece like this.
I hope so because over 100,000 people come to the United States after having been hunted.
Wow. Yeah.
So millions of people at any one time have that history of having been hunted in their background, that trauma. And that's what I'm hoping to digest, take apart, and provide some healing for.
I think it's amazing that you're doing this, and to go back when you're talking about these AI pipelines, to create something like this without this modern technology with these pipelines, you may
Exactly.
never have the opportunity to tell this story, to logistically get it together, the financing that would be required.
Yeah,
It's so outlandish to try to make this undertake this. It may never happen. It's so amazing now because of the technology, this story could save lives.
absolutely. And a story by an older female would never get made.
Nobody at this point. They're gonna say, "No, no, no."
Yeah.
They're gonna pass it up. It's very sad, the truth of how stories get developed. You understand the whole development story
Yeah.
of
And
working
then
with
1,000
companies. Yeah,
voices are added to the story, so
of
it's not
course.
original anymore. Yeah, it becomes derivative.
Now
So
you have this ability, yeah, to make these original stories.
exactly, and that's what AI gives people is that it's like a pencil.
Mhm.
A pencil can be used to write a really terrible poem, or pencil could be used to write a very moving book. Um,
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
but that this pencil now is available to everyone is really exciting, and it's gonna get better. Every 6 months, it does something amazing.
The leaps and bounds, and like you said before, a lot of people, if they never worked with this type of technology, and you said it before, trying to get a familiarity with the programming, understanding your character or your backgrounds, and recreating the same scene over and over again takes a lot of time. But it is caught up so much now, where you are getting consistency between characters and background. Where imagine now, 2, 3 years down the line from now, it's gonna almost be seamless. I mean, you need a lot of recreation over and over with this type of pipeline, but people don't know how much work actually needs to go into getting it correctly.
Did you ever see that scene from Westworld? Somebody sent it to me. I never saw this final episode, but I saw the scene where the girl is sitting in front of a computer and she's talking out her story, and it's being built in an AI
There you go. Yep.
universe.
I have not seen that. I remember Westworld, but I just don't recall the scene. I have to watch that again.
Yeah, I gotta look for that scene because it was pretty phenomenal that she was doing exactly that. And you think maybe in a year or two, that's all you need to do.
But again, it's still a creator. You still need to have the creative mind for people to
Yes.
watch your content, right? If you just, and again, so people don't understand, right? You can
Yeah.
go and let's take the pipeline, go back all the way to the beginning, right? Just go to like a chat GPT. You can type in, give me an idea. And it's only going to give you an outline of something that if you just made that idea, people really wouldn't find it that interesting. You still need to have the creative, you can use that. It's great to outline ideas, but to take the
Yeah,
creativity where people are going to be attracted to your work, you still need the artist interjection with that. You need somebody with the ideas. You have to think like an artist. How are you going to create this world and the characters? That still very much is art and creating and writing.
I agree.
And
I agree. And a lot of editing has to go into it.
tons of it. Tons of work. I mean, it's incredible. I am so glad that there's people like you that are creating work like this. Now, when you get into a festival like Slamdance, I'm so glad they're open to creating and accepting work like this now.
Me
How was that
too.
process that they're looking at this kind of AI pipeline driven work? I think it's great that they're now doing that. Was there a conversation, a new category, or how did you kind of find out that this is now being accepted into festivals like this?
I didn't. I even made this film just as an experiment.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
I had to learn it because I wanted to teach it.
Yeah.
So I had a course starting in the fall. So I had a couple of weeks and I made this in 3 weeks. And I just tried out every software there was. And then that story that I wanted to tell, I applied it to it. And I plan to make a feature film of it by the end of the summer. But I was just experimenting. I thought, well, let's see if it's going to go anywhere. And then by magic, an AI film festival popped up with MK2 and the creator of Amelie,
Okay.
director Amelie, like that. And then there was another festival that popped up, the TikTok festival with AI artists.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, which was cool. And I got into those and I won some accolades with them. And then more and more popped up. And I got to, travel around the world with a couple of these festivals. Those were all AI festivals. I thought, well, okay, there's a market for that. Let's see if anybody's gonna accept it into a more traditional film
Yeah,
festival.
yeah.
Surprisingly, I mean, I got rejected from a lot of traditional film festivals with no apologies, but surprisingly, Tirana, which is an Academy Award qualifying
Mhm.
festival, they made a special category for it. Then, Stuff MX, they actually let it win the entire animation,
That's great.
category. Um, so they're all opening up to it as a viable art form and opening up the conversation, which I appreciate. It's a tough conversation because there are still many things that need to be worked out ethically.
Mhm.
But man, there's a lot of talent working in it too. If you look at the fake videos on TikTok that people are making, um, somebody's got to make more room for it because it's
Mhm.
an exciting tool.
You are absolutely right. And I think all those people, once they actually are able to be pointed in the right direction, you'll see this tool being used for the right reasons and to create great work. And like you said, right now, there's no place to actually place these creative people. They're just going to kind of create this renegade work that's out there, and the reputation is going to keep going down and down and down. But that's kind of any new technology. And again, with people like yourself kind of leading the way and getting into festivals like this, it legitimizes everything that people are trying to create in this space. I think is fantastic.
Thank you. But I'm really thankful for the festivals for having an open mind
Yes.
and seeing the story first and the technique second, and opening up a dialogue of discussion as to how can we implement it. So yeah, kudos to the festivals for being open to new ways of exploring the story.
No, you're 100% right. And Patricia, if you can believe it, I just got the red light that we're actually at 45 minutes. I can't believe it right now. You are
Thank you.
fantastic. Any words of advice or any place that our viewers can learn more about you? Can we see your work online? Do you have any portfolios on Instagram or websites that people can look up you and learn more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. You go to mombombfilm.com
Awesome.
and you'll see like the press release and the story. It's like 5 pages about the episodes. Um, I would love to work with a distributor if anybody is looking to have original content, and Instagram Mombomb Film and Facebook Mombomb Film. And we release a lot of episodes 2 and 3 are done.
Okay, great.
So we're releasing a little bit of content about those episodes online. And as I go, you'll see the whole journey of content that will go into creation of the whole feature film.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's fantastic. I can't wait. We'll make
Thanks for
sure
the
to have
opportunity to say that.
no, please, and we'll make sure to have links in the descriptions below. And everybody, again, you guys that are listening, you guys there, you can always listen to the show on iHeartRadio, Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can view this on YouTube, Blossom TV. So we'll make sure to have
Look at you.
links. Oh no, you guys, it's a guest like you that make it possible. So we'll make sure to have links in the descriptions below for everybody to click. I love to support what you're doing. I am truly a believer in what you're trying to create. I think it's truly fantastic. Patricia, it has been enlightening having you on the show. I think you're a visionary, a pioneer for what's going to be the future. I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.